ago, two Columbia High School sophomores set out with a dream to make a sports show like none ever produced before. And this was the result. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I'm Russell Simon.
And I'm Mark Donatelli.
And this is the one-year anniversary special episode of Simon Says on the Mark. Mark, it's been a stellar year. The Bills are actually kind of doing okay, even though the Jets just, they beat them pretty bad this Sunday.
There's hope.
There is hope.
On pace for 10-6.
Hope. We've had a great journey on this show, venturing all the way to South Orange to WSOU, but other than that, that's just about it. And so here we are, back where it all began at Columbia High School. And Mark, we've got some new segments to introduce today, notably the Facebook 4, which is, of course, with the Simon Says on the Mark Facebook page, which you are a part of, I'm a part of, 115 people are a part of, and you should probably like it too if you are watching and have not liked it already. Anyway, we have 4 questions today from our loyal viewers on Facebook, and the first one is from Chandler in Maplewood. I don't know how I recognize that name, but Chandler says, "Hey guys, congrats on 1 year." It's amazing. So thoughtful, our viewers. And of all these surprising things that have happened in the first 9 weeks of the NFL season, one of the most surprising things is Tim Tebow. He has been horrifically bad, but also great. He's 2-1 as a starter. And where do you see this experiment ending up? No one really knew what would happen when it began, and we've been on a wild roller coaster ride through the first 3 weeks of the experiment. Mark, what do you think?
Well, you look at Tebow and you look at the Broncos in general. There's so many different. I mean, their defense. Obviously, you can write them off as one of the most inept defenses in the league. The talent that's around Tebow on the offensive side of the ball. It's easy to judge. It's not deep. The wide receiver core, pedestrian. The running game is average, which is why it's hard to really judge Tebow's his performance. You can't really indict him on his play thus far. He came out with full color against the Raiders. And you look at his stats so far this in his 6 career starts, he's got 11 touchdowns, passing, 7 rushing. It's really hard, and you look at his fundamental game. It's very hard to judge. But I personally would like to give him more time. He's not blessed with the talent and the coaching.
So you're high on the Tebow train. You think?
No, I'm as
let's clarify here.
I'm as neutral as you could be
really?
on the Tebow train.
I don't even know if that's possible.
I just think that the situation has not been handled well with Tebow in Denver. Josh McDaniels drafted him, and anticipating that he'd be there long term to develop him, put him into his schemes. He's gone after 1 year. So I think he's got to adjust with the new coaching and the new offensive strategies and schemes. So I personally, I don't want to judge him yet. I want to see him with some more talent around him, but he's obviously got to step up his play a little bit.
I look at Tim Tebow, and this is a guy who I fully acknowledge that his fundamentals are totally inept. You watch SportsCenter, you watch ESPN, any show breaking down Tim Tebow and his performance, and you're going to see flaws like you can't even believe. I mean, I watched the Dolphin game, and he's just overthrowing guys and just making bad plays. And then you watch the Detroit game where he had 1 pick for a touchdown and a fumble for a touchdown, and it was just a joke. I mean, you had guys, Tebowing after sacks and just really making fun of him, and they should have, because he was not pro-ready. And then you have a total role reversal where in Oakland, he only makes 21 attempts, but he rushes for over 100 yards. And he does things to put your team in a position to win that you got to say, it's Tebow-esque. Miami, 13 for 27, 2 touchdowns. They came back. They won that game in overtime. Detroit was a total washout. But against Oakland, he beat a team that is in contention for a spot in the AFC West. A good team. They beat the Jets. They're very physical with Darren McFadden. They're a very good team. And Tim Tebow went in there, and he beat them. So I really don't know what to make of him. Honestly, I'm not that high on him fundamental-wise, and I don't think this can be a long-term experiment. But listen, the AFC West is porous. I mean, the best team is San Diego, and they are just awful.
Even debatable.
I mean, they're losing the Chiefs on fumbled snaps, and the Jets, and the Packers. They're just a total mess. And then you've got a team like the Broncos, who, while I'm definitely not saying that they're going to be a playoff team, they're 3-5, and they're in position to win in a horrible division.
Well, the fact that he's 3-3 as a starter with the 2010 and the 2011 Denver Broncos is impressive in itself. And even his stats are hard to judge. I said he had 11 passing touchdowns, 7 rushing touchdowns. If you look at the 6 games he started, a lot of them are screen passes. A lot of dink and dunk type stuff, which is fine in itself. But then you get a lot of garbage time touchdowns with the way Denver has been. But the fact that he's 500 so far, he's a 500. He has a 500 career record with the Denver Broncos of the past 2 years, who have been pretty bad.
Yes,
especially in a weak division in the AFC West. Then it's impressive.
So putting it in retrospect, you're looking at Tim Tebow and the Broncos in the future, going forward. Honestly, I find it hard to believe he's going to be the answer for this team. With those kind of fundamentals and the quarterback play that he lacks, I find it hard to believe how he's going to be the long-term solution for Denver. That being said, I could see them winning 7 games this year. Tebow somehow manages to get it done. When they play a team like, say, Oakland or even Miami, bad teams, I could see Tebow having good games. When they're playing tough physical defense, I don't give him a chance, but I'm not ready to totally write off the Tebow experiment, much like John Fox has been eager to do as the Broncos head coach.
Well, the media's not ready to write him off either, that's for sure.
Are you kidding me? ESPN, hours,
they love
days even, of just Tebow.
They love the publicity.
He's a controversial figure, and he's been playing pretty well as a quarterback.
Well, there's no denying that he off the field, he's the type of franchise guy that you want.
Okay, well, we're going to end it at that, and we've got another question. Zach from Morristown says, "Hey guys, love the show, and I've also been loving Eli Manning's performance this year. He's playing great, and the Giants are on a roll. They beat New England, had a great win against them. Do you guys view him as one of the top QBs in the league based on this year's performance so far?" And notice that I did not say Eli elite.
It annoys me
I did not make that pun. I can't stand it.
It annoys me.
I mean, you talk to people in school, in the cafeteria, and nonstop, Eli's elite, Eli's elite, Eli's elite. I cannot stand it.
Yep.
I hate that. It drives me crazy. So we're going to leave it as, is Eli Manning one of the top QBs in the league based on this year's performance? And we're not going to use the word elite in this entire segment.
Well, it's almost as irksome as the dream
irksome,
team.
That's a good one.
I know, vocab word.
Ooh, SAT word. Hey, we're juniors now.
All right. You're looking at Manning again. I'd say even he is a hard quarterback to judge just based on his statistics. I think in terms of him being elite. I'm sorry.
No. That's so irksome to me.
Okay.
Do you understand that? I'm going
to break out him being
the
a premier
full SAT vocab book if you say that again.
Okay. In terms of him being a premier NFL quarterback, his record and his success, I'd say he's there as of right now in the top 5. You can't really count Peyton Manning because he's not playing right now. Obviously.
He's the MVP. Oh my God!
Moving on. Statistically speaking.
Oh God!
I don't think his statistics are there, honestly, with Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. Okay. Obviously, because Aaron Rodgers is on an absolute tear right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, you look at his career touchdown to interception ratio is just tremendously high. Twice in his career, he's led the league in interceptions. And even looking at the talent, I'm talking about Tebow and saying, oh, he has no talent around him. Eli has never really had that excuse in his career.
No.
Look at the receivers he's had. He's had Plexico Burress. He's had Amani Toomer in his prime. Hakeem Nicks in the past 2 years. I know he's been injured the past 2 weeks, but he's been an elite. He's been an absolutely phenomenal receiver.
Okay.
Oh, elite. Sorry, I threw that one out there again.
3 times.
I apologize. But again, he's been a tremendous asset for this Giants offense in the past 2 years. And even Kevin Boss. I mean, these guys make plays in the passing game. He's had the talent there. I think if you're going to judge him based on whether he's a premier quarterback, I say yes in terms of his success, but statistically speaking, no.
Okay, first of all, I know you're on No Shave November, but obviously I'm still on the prepubescent level, so I apologize, everyone, for the voice crack. I hope the speakers in your house are okay and we're not too severely damaged. Now, on to Eli Manning. I know you said about the stats, and you make a good point with that, but listen, comeback win against the Bills, comeback win against the Dolphins, comeback win against the Patriots. He's legit for this reason, where his brother struggles sometimes in the big games, can't win the big one. Eli Manning has consistently, at least this year, except for the Seattle game, won the big one. He has taken this Giants team back again and again and again. and proven himself to have the backbone to be a really impressive quarterback. And he's never gotten the love from the New York fans, the New York media, who consistently derided him for having some December collapses and that kind of stuff. But he has been so impressive this year. And I'm loving what the Giants are doing, even though I'm a Jet fan, and it pains my soul to admit it. But I'm loving Eli, and I'm loving what the Giants are doing this year.
Again, I think statistically no, but with the defense that he has, I mean, he's always going to be there in terms of success.
All right.
Wins and losses.
Yeah, there you have it. Now, third question. Simon says on the mark, extending its audience outside of Maplewood, South Orange, outside of New Jersey. We're going to Brian from Concordia, New Hampshire. I kid you not. Concordia, New Hampshire. I looked it up. It's at the very top of the map. If you look at it, it's a very far away place. Yeah, I know. So, Brian says, as a big Patriots fan, it's killing me to watch the Pats struggle this year. It's definitely not killing me to watch them struggle this year. Brady has a ton of turnovers and the defense is horrific. Is this the start of a major decline for the Patriots?
Well, I honestly,
I hope so.
Any team with Bill Belichick at the helm, you can't write off as a team on the digressing level, and especially with Brady, obviously he's still got at least 3 years of prime effectiveness as one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But with the defense that they have as of right now, it's hard to believe that they're as elite a team as they were made out to be before the season. They're literally the worst team against the pass in the league.
Horrendous.
They're averaging 314 yards per game. And teams have noticed, obviously, they're dropping back 40. They're averaging 40 dropbacks per game against the Patriots defense. So while I do think the Tom Brady era in New England is definitely running out, obviously he's getting up there in age, they're going to have to do something with this defense if they want to get him another Super Bowl before he retires. I think it's possible that they could, as long as they can get some beef up front and in the secondary, too, for that matter.
As a Jets fan, I've seen the damage that the Patriots can do, and obviously I'm not ready to write them off yet, but I've seen signs from this Patriots team that I have not seen really from any other team I can ever remember. We had reports coming down today. Albert Hainsworth was released after getting into a verbal altercation with a coach, and then you've got Chad Ochocinco, who's a massive distraction. He's a complete bum. He's playing he's horrible. I know it's a strong word, but this is a guy who is literally doing nothing. It's Brady and Welker, and other than that, they haven't been able to do much offensively, and the tight ends, correct, the tight ends are very good, but Brady, 20 touchdowns, but 10 interceptions, and this tells you that he's forcing throws, and you saw it against the Giants when Grant, the safety, I believe, made a very nice play on a badly thrown ball from Tom Brady, and they're trying to force things in, and they're trying to press because they know that the defense is not going to be the backbone of that team. You look at the Tom Brady teams that won the Super Bowls, they had Bruschi and Asante Samuel, who's now in Philadelphia. Very impressive defenses. And now, really, it reminds you very much of the Colts, where if they don't go out and score 35 points and Brady doesn't throw for 500 yards, how are they going to win? I mean, they lost a shootout against Buffalo, and this is a team that has really, I think, lost some of that Patriot identity and some of that Patriot edge.
Right. I think just in every aspect of the franchise, they've kind of lost that Patriot way of doing things. I think you mentioned Hainsworth, you mentioned Ochocinco. Those aren't really Patriot signings, honestly. They usually don't make those type of flashy big moves, and I think they're kind of vying away from where they have been in the past few years. They need to get back on the Bill Belichick way of doing things. And
of course, it is the Facebook 4, and the final question of the day comes from Randy from South Orange, New Jersey, who says Aaron Rodgers is having an almost perfect season. He has 24 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, and the Packers are undefeated. Can you envision him and the Packers in general keeping this up? I think they can.
Right. They've just been absolutely phenomenal. There's definitely no Super Bowl hangover going on there. Which is always a topic that's brought up for any Super Bowl team. But obviously that's not really a problem. His numbers. You're looking at this is exactly the halfway point of the season. He's basically on pace to have almost identical numbers to what Tom Brady had in 2007. He would. At this pace, he has 48 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Well, Brady had 50 touchdowns and I believe 8 interceptions. So, that's absolutely phenomenal. And obviously their schedule gets a lot more difficult. They got the Lions twice, the Bears, the Giants, which all have substantial defenses. But I don't know, the way they're playing is just tremendous.
Are out of control. I don't think I've seen a team like this really since the Patriots went undefeated. They play the Vikings, the Bucs, the Lions, the Giants, Raiders, Chiefs, Bears, and Lions. There's some very good defenses there, but I think the way this offense is performing right now, they're on such a high level that I really don't think any defense can stop what they're doing. They have so many weapons, so many receivers, and they just get it done, and it's a joy to watch. I mean, they're in the NFC North. They're no problem for the Jets, and I'm loving what they're doing, and they're going to really be a threat come playoff time.
Right. I mean, I know the question specifically said Rodgers, but that defense is top of the league.
All right, that's the Facebook 4. I'm Russell Simon.
I'm Mark Donatelli.
And we're not saying goodbye. We're coming right back for the final 14 minutes of Simon Says on the Mark.
Television is a powerful and influential medium that allows different groups the opportunity to produce programming that directly affects their own communities. Public, educational, and government access channels ensure that all people, regardless of race, age, gender, disability, religion, or economic status, have access to local government information and the use of a public communication forum. Make sure everyone has a voice. Support your local PEG channels.
Welcome back to the last 14 minutes of Simon Says on the Mark. And Mark, the NFL season obviously goes 17 weeks, teams play 16 games, but we are right at the halfway point of the season. They don't give mid-season awards, but if they did, we've got some very interesting debate about who would win what. And let's start with MVP of the whole league, and I know what you're going to say, and I'm definitely going to agree with you on this one. It is a no-doubter.
Well, we said there's a lot of debate, but I don't think there is much with MVP. I think anybody who's watched football this year knows that Aaron Rodgers is the sure shot MVP. We mentioned earlier in the program, 24 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 8-0 record. I mean, there's not much to argue here.
What can you even say? Do you even need stats? I mean, this is a guy who has just been as good a quarterback as you could possibly be consistently. And it's so surprising to see because you look at the Saints. Drew Brees had a great year. They won the Super Bowl. But then the year after they lose to Seattle, they had an okay season. But they lost a lot of games. They lost to Cleveland. I remember Reggie Hodges had a big 85-yard fake punt that brought them in nearly for a touchdown, and Brees threw a bunch of interceptions. And he's had a season last year where he struggled at times. But Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl, and if possible, he's been playing better. He has been just lights out. I mean, I'm not going to say elite because that doesn't even describe it. He has been unfathomably amazing.
Right. And I probably should have checked with our producer before I read this stat, but 129.1 quarterback rating.
Is that true?
Is that even possible?
Let me see.
It says it right there.
Is that even possible?
129.1 quarterback rating. And when MVP is supposed to be, how much of an impact does this guy have on the franchise and the team? And as great as the Packers' defense is and how deep they are in pretty much every aspect of their game,
agreed.
Where would this team be with Aaron Rodgers? I mean, without Aaron Rodgers, you know, if Brett Favre were still, obviously he weren't. Obviously, he might not still be the starting quarterback there. I would rather you say
elite than say Brett Favre.
Okay, I totally agree with that. But right, and you're supposed to judge the MVP based on how much of an impact they have on their team, and Aaron Rodgers is obviously up.
Here's a wild card, though. I know he's definitely not going to win, but Peyton Manning. It doesn't get more valuable than your play.
I see where you're going.
And then you don't play.
Okay.
And your team goes from, I believe they won 11 games or 10 games, to possibly winning zero.
That is actually a very reasonable argument right there.
If you look up the value in the dictionary, and valuable, I mean, Peyton Manning is so valuable to that team. You take away Aaron Rodgers, and they're still going to win games. I mean, the Colts legitimately might not win a game this season.
That is the definition of valuable right
Yes,
there.
exactly. I mean, to go from 10 to 0. I mean, I'm obviously not saying he's going to win, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple people voting for him, even though it's so ridiculous.
Just out of pure.
I mean, why not?
All right, I see. What
that's
you're
as
saying.
valuable.
I think the Colts would have been on the decline whether he's in the lineup or not. I think that defense is just absolutely porous.
But they might honestly, they could win 0 games. Mean, you watch them play, and they're just awful. It's almost like they should quit. I don't even know what they do.
But if there's some rule that we don't know that says you have to play a game,
well, I'm sure he's not going to win MVP.
Season. Okay.
But I can see how people would vote for him. All right, what about Offensive Player of the Year? You somehow find a difference between Offensive Player of the Year and Aaron Rodgers' MVP?
Right. Well, usually they like to they like to separate the MVP from the Offensive Player of the Year. Matt Forte has just been absolutely phenomenal. I think he's turned into the best two-way back in the league. 805 yards rushing, and the average is most important because that's obviously 5.4 yards per carry. But what makes him so great is that the Bears offensive line.
Last year,
given they've had injuries, Gabe Karimi, the first-round pick at right tackle, he's been out, but they've just been they picked up where they left off last year with giving Jay Cutler absolutely no time, and it's amazing to me that arguably the best running back in the league right now, Forte, is putting up these numbers.
Not Fred Jackson. Come on, you're a Bills guy.
I mean, obviously, I'd like to make that argument, but I'd probably sound a little biased, but. The numbers, and even receiving, 436 yards receiving, averaging a little over 10 yards a catch. I mean, obviously a lot of screens, a lot of mid-range passes, but you got to do stuff with that with an offensive line like the Bears. Like I said, they pretty much picked up where they were last year, and he's had no time to throw.
And I think it just goes to show you really how impact players, who are definitely very good, and don't get me wrong, Forte, even before this year, was a perennial, very impressive NFL running back. It just goes to show you how much they step up in a contract year.
Yeah.
Matt Forte in the holdout, $600,000 this year from the Bears, excuse me. Probably you wish he was on the Bills. But anyway, $600,000 on the rookie contract, and he was holding out. He said he wanted a new deal, didn't get it. He has said constantly that he's undervalued and that running backs have a very short window of which to make money, and he wants more. And he's really earning it this year. I mean, he's been out of this world, and I really see where you're coming from with Forte, and it just goes to show you how much the money has been a motivating factor, especially for him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you look at other examples across the league. Adrian Peterson, maybe not as much of an effect because he has such natural talent. He signed a huge deal with the Vikings before the season. He's still having his normal Adrian Peterson stats. Then you see Chris Johnson held out almost all of August. He finally gets paid.
Complete and terrible.
Absolutely
a horrible
wash.
Year.
And it's been amazing that Tennessee has won games, and you can pretty much pin that on Matt Hasselbeck.
Matt Hasselbeck, definitely. And now moving on, past Offensive Player of the Year, we move on to the other side of the ball and Defensive Player. And if you don't say it, I'm gonna be very upset. And I might walk out, honestly.
All right, well, start leaving now because
right,
I'm taking DeMarcus Ware.
Oh no, DeMarcus. I'm done. And this is not even staged. I'm leaving. How can you sit here when we have Darrelle Revis and you pick DeMarcus Ware? The Cowboys aren't even good.
Okay.
All right,
well,
I'll come back. Of course I'm going to come back. I have to finish the show. You're...
Well, the fact of the matter is,
outrageous.
12 sacks. That's a 24-sack pace. We're halfway through the year. 2 forced fumbles. He's your prototypical pass rushing outside linebacker. Teams have the game plan for Revis, but offensive lines absolutely tremble when they have to game plan for DeMarcus Ware. The guy's an absolute terror on the outside, and that's 12 sacks is just an astronomical number halfway through the year.
Do you want to tell our viewers about the bet we made? Do you want to tell the viewers about the bet we made?
I will.
What was the bet? Tell them what the bet was.
All right, the bet, I made a $2 bet that Steve Johnson would score a touchdown on Dale Revis. Given he did not score a touchdown, 84 yards receiving. It's not far off.
It was on one play in garbage time. The game was over.
It was actually not garbage time.
Oh, come on. It was obvious that the Jets were going to win at that point. That was the worst game Revis has had
all year. Would you like to
It was the worst game Revis has had all year, and he gave up how many catches to Johnson? 2 or 3?
How many yards, actually? 84?
Yeah.
I'm not here to talk trash about a 27-11 loss.
It was one play, though, and that's not indicative of Revis' dominance as a cornerback. I'll read you the list. Des Bryant, Anquan Bolden, Darius Hayward-Bay to a lesser extent, Welker, Brandon Marshall, Vincent Jackson, Steve Johnson. What do all those players of all different kinds of receivers, some play in the slot, some try and go over the top, some are shifty, some are just blow by you. What do all these receivers have in common?
They were shut down by
Yes, they were, because Darrelle Revis is amazing, and this may
I'm not
sound
an
biased,
ignorant fan.
but it is true. It is the truth. Darrelle Revis is the second best cornerback to ever play the game of football. Last year, he was never even targeted, and I look at the wild card game as the performance that is indicative of his performance as the second best corner ever. Peyton Manning, Reggie Wayne. Big connection. They love each other. They're in tandem. They're in sync, whatever. They go into that playoff game, and Reggie Wayne gets shut down by Darrelle Revis. Totally didn't, he had 1 catch for 2 yards, did nothing. And that is what Revis brings to the table. Every single game, he shuts the number 1 receiver down, no questions asked. It is it is what a defensive player of the year does. He does his job to the best of his ability every week. There's weeks where DeMarcus Ware is an off week. He can get doubled. But Darrelle Revis consistently, every week, he comes out there and shuts the guy down.
The difference is I tend to shy away from getting too much into a secondary because we as the fans don't know the types of coverages the Jets are using.
Oh, stop
On
it.
certain plays, if a big receiver... If a receiver makes a play against the Jets,
everybody
just says,
"Oh,
that's Antonio Cromartie. That's not Antonio."
Well, it is.
I mean, no, there's different coverages. Cover 2, cover 3. I'm not going to get into all that type of stuff. I'm not going to get into the fundamentals, but there's different coverages. All I know is
on the base level where Des Bryant, Anquan Boldin,
DeMarcus Ware goes straight up with the best left tackles in the league, and he comes away with 12 sacks
every week. I mean, it can go on and on. You wanted me to read the list of receivers he shut down last year.
I buy into the fact that DeMarcus Ware consistently gets triple teamed every week, and he still has 12 sacks.
So what is more important then? A key corner who consistently locks up the number one receiver, or a guy like DeMarcus Ware can blitz, but he gets triple teamed.
Who can blitz, who can stop the run.
He can get shut down.
Really?
Never get shut down.
He's on pace for 24 sacks.
Darrelle Revis has shut down every receiver in the league.
That's absurd.
League.
I'm just coming from the standpoint that I tend to think that an impactful 24-sack front seven member contributes more game to game, and it helps that Darrelle Revis has the kind of support with Antonio Cromartie.
Stop it. The Jets' entire scheme comes from Darrelle Revis locking up the number one receiver and giving Rex Ryan the freedom to blitz at will, at abandon, rushing the linebackers in, and Darrelle Revis is just locking up, you name him, Vincent Jackson, done, Steve Smith, done, Steve Johnson, done, Welker, on and on and on. And he does his job to the best of his ability consistently every single week. He gets it done.
All right, well, I obviously cannot convince you otherwise. I guess you don't understand the significance of 24 sacks.
I don't think you understand the significance of locking up the number one receiver week after week after week. All right, Rookie of the Year real quick, as we try and come down off.
I'm taking the sleeper here.
You're not taking
everybody's saying Newton, and there's obviously a lot of stats. That's really only the stats that can prove that he deserved to be Rookie of the Year. He had the 2 400-plus yard passing games to start the year, 2,393 yards passing thus far. Obviously, that's tremendous, especially for a rookie thrown in. Really, obviously, a lot of people don't think there's a whole lot of talent on that Panthers offense. I'd say there is. Steve Smith, Greg Olsen. He wasn't put into a horrible situation, but I think what has been more impressive is Andy Dalton. Yep. And he's 6-2 in obviously a very tough division. I don't think any division besides the AFC West and the NFC West. I think all the divisions besides those two are I'd say are pretty even. The fact that he's 6-2, his rookie year, he stepped up, and you look at his stats, they're not too far off from Cam Newton. He's got 1,696 yards passing, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. His passer rating's only two lower than Cam Newton's, who's at 87. He's at 85. Statistically, no, he does not have Newton, but the fact that he's 6-2 is tremendous.
He's a very impressive player, and I totally agree. Stats are for losers, standings are for winners, and Andy Dalton is a winner, and he's also Rookie of the Year. That's all the time we have for this episode. We will come back again in November. Remember to check us out every Sunday night on 89.5 FM. I'm Russell Simon, a happy Jets fan. He's a depressed Bills fan. As usual, enjoy third place. Have a good one, everybody.